Rock and roll.
So TVT, Creighton Olsen. This is being played on Korea. Both of them are playing on their custom, on their home servers. So there is no complaints here. They'll be playing on the servers they are most happy with. I know Time probably does ladder on Korea. I'm pretty certain he does because although the Chinese server is quite good, it doesn't have the same quality. So his ping will be great. Now, we're not seeing any of the buildings being placed outside. These guys are both starting up very, very standard. Yeah, it's the pipeline punch monster. It's the best one. Both of them will be going for standard Reaper expands. We can see here Reaper's coming, Orbital starting, and SCV is going to the low ground to possibly get that started. We do have Time just scouting with one SCV at a 3 o'clock position to make sure nothing's proxied, but there is no proxy just yet, Creighton. We're getting a standard opening for this game.
A lot of respect shown on both sides. I would have been very surprised if somebody did some sort of started or opened at least with some sort of proxy barracks, some sort of proxy cheese. Game number 1 of the biggest tournament of the summer. This is the time for players to really show their mettle in mid and long games. Look, we've got parting in our group. We're going to see some cheese, no question about it.
But yes.
At the same time, you got to understand that, like, there's so much on the line for these players. I mean, first place in this tournament is tens of thousands of dollars, $12,500 for first prize. These players are not going to be messing around and just taking a risk. I remember watching an in-depth with Jake and Dan a while ago, and they were talking about how these cheese strategies, you sort of it sort of increases your chances of winning. Like if you say that a long game is 50-50 against a good opponent. And if a cheese strategy moves you from like to 60-40, it's probably not worth it to take that risk. If it's like 70-30, you really have to start doing the calculations on who your opponent is and what it feels like. But, we said no cheeses, but TY is throwing a little bit at us here.
Both sides of the map, actually, Creighton, because Time has gone for his second racks before his starport, meaning his anti-air will be only Marines, but he's going to have a good chunk of Marines, possibly Marauders. He's also getting a tech lab onto his factory. What Time needs to do right now, and I'm not certain if he will, but I'd love to see a Cyclone. There it is. He needs this Cyclone. This is very, very nice, because there is going to be most likely a Hellion drop coming into his base pretty soon, and he wants to push that medevac away. This is still very scary for TY. You can see he's producing a few Hellions at a time, and he will... Oh, he's going for a Proxy Liberator, actually. Wow, okay, I was very much expecting the Hellion drop, but we're not going to see that. So this is the fastest possible Liberator. 1-1-1 with the Stargate, the Starport even, proxied. And what is Time going to have? He's going to have a Cyclone, which is the best possible tool.
Yeah, he's got that Cyclone. He's going to be so ready for the Liberator. But look at TY's Liberator. It's not even queued over to Time's base. It's queued all the way back home to his natural. He's going to use this for defense first and foremost, I think. This is really interesting, Grant, because neither player has scouted anything yet. TY is blindly moving out with these Hellions and the Reaper. And Time's going to be able to defend against this fairly easily. He's dropping the bunker down. He's got Marines. I think he's going to be just fine. It looks like his wall's going to be finished up in no time.
Yeah, the thing right now, of course, is the threat of this Liberator. It is now coming into the main. But you see the wall is done, but this is a lot of Hellions, and the wall's not completely done. Hellions will absolutely fry through these Marines, but the real threat right now is what is happening in the back. What is happening behind this? That Liberator is sieging up, getting ready to go, and there goes the weasel as SCVs start to go down. We lose 6 immediately. The fight at the front is still a risk, though. You can see all the Marines almost going down, and TY ekes out a lead. 3 workers, a huge amount of army supply. He stopped production for so long, and finally it does look like he'll be pushed back, but TY certainly getting the better hand of his first engagement.
Wow, look at that units lost tab, trading 6 Hellions for 6 SCVs and 8 Marines. Normally, Grant, the sort of the metric I use is you want to kill about twice as many workers as you lose Hellions. That's usually a pretty decent trade, but getting those 8 Marines, as you said, is not only going to give him a huge lead, the huge lead economically that he got from the SCVs, but also that huge army lead. The army supply is going to even up for now, but I think TY in a really strong position here this game. He's even adding on that Raven from the Proxy Starport, and he's going to be in great shape.
Yeah, and this Raven is going to be moving out for harassment purposes as well. Now, see, Time's initial plan was to hit a 16 Marine drop, but he lost so many of those Marines that he can now only move out with about 11. And 11's not as many as 16. So what that means is TY shouldn't have too much problem defending this. What has he currently got at home, Creighton Olsen?
Not much at all. He's got that Liberator resieging on the natural. Time's going to lose a few more SCVs again. He's got that Raven auto-turret harass in the main. But back home, there's not that much. There is a Cyclone and a handful of Marines, but this drop from Time is going to go down. It looks like TY's not responding to it at all. Wow, Time gets all the way into his base before TY queues over.
There is a tank out, and that unsieged tank is going to be able to push out a little bit of DPS. The workers will pull very, very quickly. Medevac being targeted down, one will go down. A good few Marines go down, some lost mining time, but at the other side of the map, Time lost 6 more workers. He has lost a total now of 13 and only killed 3. Resources lost, favoring the Korean Red Terran player, and Time is up against it. He hasn't found the damage he really needs to kickstart his game.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is TVT. As with any mirror matchup, it's going to be a game of inches, a game of seconds. Every little tiny advantage you can take is going to be huge, and TY's Liberator really caused the initial advantage that's going to help him push his way into a much stronger mid-game. Look at the SCV count right now. Look at that income graph.
Yep.
We see TY ahead by almost 8, by 8, I was going to say almost 10, but 8, I can give you an exact number, by 8 SCVs. And that's going to put him strongly in favor here in the mid-game. I expect his mid-game bio push to look much scarier than Time's, even though Time already does have Stim finished up, and TY's upgrade's a little bit behind.
Yeah, we see a couple of units picked off here by Time. He's continuing to try and remain with some pressure with those 5 Marines in the medevac outside the natural on the third, and just make sure the third doesn't go down in this triangular formation. But now we have Time actually pushing out with a lot of units. What is the tank count at right now? There's 4 tanks for TY. You can't break this. He's still up in work as 15 Marines. He does have less Marines, but he has double Raven. So that means the tanks are going to be disabled, meaning the tanks of TY can just absolutely cause havoc and fire through here and deal a lot of damage. The spread is very, very good in the main as well. We do see the siege up coming here. Oh, shields can get cancelled. This is nice. Very, very nice pickup. Combat shields denied there by Time, and already this is a bit of a win. Stim, of course, is done for... Oh, no, only for Time. Stim is only 3/4 of the way done for TY. Time might have found a bit of an anti-timing here. Pardon the pun.
You can't cast a Time game without saying the word time way too many times. It's like
it's awful, isn't it?
there are a couple players where you really have to expand your vocabulary to be able to cast their games really well. It's a nice snipe from Time there, but the real victory is not just that combat shields. I think more importantly, it's that third base that's already down for Time. Now, TY's third is finished up, but it's still in his main base. It hasn't floated over because Time has been a little bit more aggressive. He's been taking a little bit more risk this game, and that has paid off for him hugely. As with any game, when you're behind, you've got to make the difficult decision of, am I going to push, or am I going to, you're forced into a position where you have to take a riskier push than you normally would. And Time is absolutely commanding more of this army. We haven't seen TY move out on the other side of the map until just now with this double drop that's coming up the east side of the map to try and counter pressure Time.
And he has 1-1 as well. Time's is not done. Time has no upgrades currently. And here comes a Stim forward. You can see SCVs being pulled. There's so many going to go down here. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and the number continuing to rise. It looks like TY will eventually be forced to pick up and get out of dodge. Maybe he's just going to stay and fight. He's got 14 workers. He doesn't care. The number increasing. And he still gets out with 6 of his Marines. An incredible push there from TY. Now taking a huge, huge lead in terms of the economy. He is going to be hunted down, but he gets away. Very, very timely escape there from TY, and Time needs a miracle. He needs to find something. His upgrades are behind, his production is behind. He's only now adding on those extra reactors in his main. He even has built a sensor tower to make sure he stops bleeding, but right now it's all TY.
You know, this is what we talked about earlier in the game, Grant, is that risk factor where when you get behind early in the game, you have to take additional risks to try and catch up. The risk that Time took was moving his entire army across the map to prevent TY from taking that third.
Oh my god.
And yeah, he's just going to go for it. He took that risk, wasn't worth it, but the Ravens are now here, the missile turrets are here, massive auto turret drops, and Time is going to get rebuffed very quickly. Great defense by TY.
Oh, he's going to drop on top of the tanks so quick, and Olsen, sorry to interrupt you. And this is a lot of tanks that are going to have to be forced to unsiege to try and get any fire down. It looks like Time has actually found a very good angle. TY was so far away. He had the sense. Oh, all the Ravens go down. SCV's quarter for line. Time finds a position, and all of a sudden he's trading very, very efficiently. He's killed 6 workers. He will eventually be cleaned up and saved most of his medevacs. Very, very nice there from Time. And now the supply difference all of a sudden, Creighton, it ain't that big.
It's so interesting. We saw TY with a bit of an advantage in the early game because he was able to do that early game damage, and that swelled to what we call a mid-game advantage. You know, your advantage army-wise is usually lags about 2 or 3 minutes behind whatever your normal, whatever your economic advantage is. So that exchange, basically, TY traded his army advantage and his economic advantage to defend that push. So the player's now sitting roughly at parity once again. Their upgrades are slightly behind for Time, but I think TY is still slightly in the lead there. But that was a really nice counterpunch from Time. I've never seen a player drop tanks on top of other tanks before, quite like Time just did.
And now we can see +1 vehicle weapons being added for both of these guys. Time does have his 4th base down much quicker than that of TY. We can see it's over in the 3 o'clock position. He's already mining from that. I imagine it will probably be a plan. Oh, it's not done. Okay. I thought it was finished. Okay, so it's not too bad here. We do see TY starting to push out with a bit of an army. He does have the army advantage, and his 2-2 is going to finish. This is a great timing for TY. Time's tank count currently only at 3. He has a couple of Vikings, so he does have that air authority and that control, but he needs to defend here. Tank going to siege up. TY is angry. TY is looking for revenge from that last push. He may just try and cancel this 4. I think Time will let it finish and immediately pick it up and fly away. But he needs to wait. He needs to get his 2-2. It's only about 1 minute off, and that's exactly what we're going to see. Time is okay, but his 4th, of course, is not down. Now, it looks like TY has only just started his 4th, so this really isn't too bad, because it is done. He should probably land it behind. Oh, no, because he wants to send it into a planetary. So he can't do that. TY is actually bringing a lot more units. He's really, really, really looking for some violence right now. Violence, speed, and momentum, to quote someone maybe banned here.
Yeah, that's exactly what TY is looking for.
for
He wanted to hit a 2-2 timing, and
cool.
he was delayed a little bit on his 2-2 timing. Now, +2 is going to finish for Time very soon here, but TY is going to hit just before that happens. If he can push in with a 2-2 timing and a 10 army supply advantage, as long as his tank spread is really good and he gets some good initial tank shots off, he'll be able to dislodge Time's 3 o'clock base, and he should be in really, really good position to make this work. The SCVs, again, pulled off the line here at the 4th base. The scan goes down to see who's up against. And Time's going to go ahead and push. TY's tank's not sieged up here. He's got to tank at the low ground. But 2-2 finished up for both players.
There's no tanks here, though, for Time. Time's going to lose every unit he had in the air. He pulls the SCVs, but it's too late. He just didn't have the tank coverage, and GG TY takes game 1 of DreamHack Masters summer.
Wow, what a show that was. TY and Time going at it there, but Time is going to get toppled in game 1. Grant, was that exactly how you expected things to go?
Time, I think he played very, very well. Now, we're going to reiterate for those just joining, and thank you for joining us. Time overslept. He didn't know he was meant to be playing. He was literally asleep like 15 minutes ago. But if any game wakes you up, it's that one. He really, really got close to pulling it back. It didn't end up working massively. It was just that he just didn't have the tanks to cover his army. But he played very well. He took it to TY, and I'm expecting game 2 to be another great, great back and forth game. I say that, and it'll be a proxy 3 racks at the end of 4 minutes.
No, back and forth is exactly the right word to use, though. That was one of those games where it was very. One of the reasons I love TBT is sometimes it's very obvious in a TBT where the advantage is in the game, and that was one of those games where we saw it bouncing back and forth. TY doing some damage, Time trying to recover, Time taking a risk and doing some damage. TY trying to recover, TY taking a risk and doing some damage, Time on the back foot, like just both players sort of trading blows, very much like a boxing match, where it's easy to see them getting worn down over time, and eventually our Chinese player did fall there in game 1, so TY is going to grab a 1-game advantage going in to Ice and Chrome LE.
Yeah, definitely looking to see Time bring this back. I'd love to see this one go the distance and us get 3 games. As we do get into game 2 here on Ice and Cream Ladder Edition. Ice Cream Ladder Edition. Firstly, Creighton Olsen, are you ready to introduce our players?
Not quite yet. Hang on just 1 minute, Grant. I'm doing some overlay stuff really quickly. I want to make sure I got everything correct this time. And I think, Grant, now I am ready to introduce our players. Spawning in the bottom left-hand side in the red, representing China and people who wake up very late in the day. It is Kaitzi Gaming's time.
And his opponent in the top left, in the blue, representing Terrans, representing South Korea, and representing the Afrika Freaks, my favorite team name, he is TY.
Ooh, look at those purple accents on TY's command center. Oh, that's dope.
That is pretty.
I mean, speaking as someone who's, that's 100% my favorite color. Purpley, pinky, I love it. It looks so good.
Yeah.
My God. Now, Grant, give me just 1 minute here. I'm going to put the observation camera on you. I got to do some admin work here in the background. So if you don't mind leading us through this game number 2.
Yeah, no worries. I got you. Okay, so going into game 2, we can see both players have started pretty standard at home. Gas Guys has gone down for both for standard Reaper expand. Neither player has thrown down anything at any strange positions. And we're looking pretty normal so far here. We should see command centers go down pretty soon. As soon as these barracks finish, we will see the orbitals begin, and those SCVs go down to the low ground. TY is going for a little bit of a scout here. This time in the blue, going to be moving across the map, seeing what he can find. And he is now moving in.
And
Sees that CC drop and will feel very, very confident that everything is normal. Reaper's coming across the map for both of these people, both of these players even. And things looking to be pretty normal.
I love the state that StarCraft is in right now, Grant. You know, I feel like back in the old days, if that SCV had just scouted the natural, we as viewers and even some players at the highest levels would go, "Oh man, he only saw the command center. He didn't get up into the main base to see what his opponent's going for. He didn't have any scouting information." But now the game is so refined and the players are so intuitive about what the builds are and so in touch with the meta as it shifts over the years, that they know, just seeing, you know, the state at which a command center is built on the low ground, how far forward it is, or how close to finished it is, and they can tell from that, okay, I know 10 new things about his build that I didn't know before. It's really a testament to the hard work of the players and the evolution of our great game over the last 10 years.
Yeah, this game, everything is very normal. We've not seen any second Raxes go down before starports yet. Does look like we'll have 1-1-1 openings from both. There are no buildings across the map. TY is going to be the aggressor with an SCV, a couple of Reapers here, just to see what he can find, try and get some information. Bunker nearly down. This SCV may end up going down, actually. Where is Times units are really out of position, and now these two Reapers are coming in, and oh no, we're not going to get the strange snowball effect of TVT, are we?
Man, I hope not.
This place was certain. Oh my god, he's throwing down a bunker.
TY building a counter bunker next to Times bunker. This is some high level disrespect. I have not seen this since playground basketball back in the day. Now, luckily, there's a Hellion here, and that should be able to chase away these two Reapers, but the Reapers are certainly going to go for it here. Focus fire on the SCV, and I don't think oh my god, the bunker from... Okay, there we go. He finally picks off the SCV, building that bunker. TY forced to cancel, but that is a fantastic start for TY.
Yeah, but he gets a couple of workers. He loses just the one, so a small lead there for the Blue Terran player here from the Afrika Freaks. Behind this, he is getting his tech lab onto his factory. We should see a swap over pretty quickly to get the Raven out, most likely. Possibly Banshees in this game. It's very, very quick swap, actually. Yeah, okay, so it is going to be just that Raven. We're seeing naturals going down. Worker count is pretty close. TY has that very slight lead. And everything looking pretty good here. We have lots and lots of Marines being produced. Everything is standard. No very quick thirds or anything like that. Oh, and there is the cloak from TY. He is gonna... oh, wow, this is interesting. Going cloak... Oh, it's fake now.
It's the fake out, yeah.
Yeah.
He's just trying to trick his opponent. You know, seeing cloaked Banshees in TVT is almost a relic of the past at this point. It's been ages since I've seen a TVT actually go into cloaked Banshees. I hope and pray for it every game, but it's just so rare. The Raven is such a versatile unit, and it's so clutch to get it out early, to build up that energy. So if you've got a Raven that's got enough energy for 2 interference matrices, there's no question that you're going to have a huge advantage over any player that goes Banshee first, and going Banshee first would just be almost insane at this point. I do love that TY is staying out on the map, staying active with these scouts. I mean, if you look at his vision here, TY has seen just so much this game. He knows what's going on the map, and he has a great scout onto time, even getting one of those Reapers in the main base. I don't think he saw that third base going down, or that third command. He did? Oh, he did spot it. Look at that. So he did see that third command center going down. He's got his own back behind this, a little behind. But yeah, early third command center. But barracks down on both sides. Bio versus bio. Big economies. Another mid to late game TVT. Grant, we are just having the best luck on our streams today. These are fantastic games. Yeah,
TVT is always one of those matchups where it can end in 2 or 3 minutes, like ZVZ in terms of the mirrors. And you always want it to go long, especially with 2 players of this caliber, because it can just be great. Now we see Stim on the way here for time. It is bio for both of our players. No mech today. Upgrades on the way. Slightly quicker here for time. Is he on 2 eBays? He hasn't started his armor just yet. Needs to get that going, as he does almost have the money. He really needs to start that because he doesn't want to fall behind in double upgrades.
It's that caster moment where you're like, he's gonna start the upgrade now. Now he's gonna start +1 armor right now. Oh man, come on, there it is now. So 1-1 starts up for time here. TY is slightly behind there. Does he have any there it is. Okay, so he's got his +1 going, and hopefully his +1 starting right
now.
Upgrade should be close enough. Yeah, it's one of those things where, you know, there's a slight difference in the timings, but it would take an unbelievably good time. You'd have to get in there in like a 5 or 10 second gap to really have a difference. The question is going to be, can these players keep their upgrades going into the late game? Because that's one thing that tends to fall by the wayside as you get into a very intense micro game. You're trying to macro back home. Your brain is doing so many things that +2 and +3 upgrades are just sort of a little behind as you go on, and that's something that the good players have to be really careful about.
One thing I'm concerned about right now for Time is that he only has the one Raven. He never produced a second, and instead opted to throw down those very slightly quicker upgrades, and to get a few more Marines here with the money. He is now moving out, but having one less Raven is big. When you are playing TVT and you're playing Biotank against Biotank, you really need to be able to hit those interference matrices on the tank, or throw down the turret in order to cover your flanks, or to make the fight a little bit more one-sided. So, we see TY right now moving out. He is going to scout, moving out to defend. We can do see, oh my god, 2 interference matrices immediately, but this is a double Raven. This is the benefit of it, because there's a turret as well as this, and the turret does so much damage, and keep trying to push back. That was a great fight for TY, despite the interference matrices. Having the extra Raven, having a few Marines in a good position, and great tank spread move to defense is easy.
Easy peasy indeed for TY there. Time really just driving into his doom there. I don't know if he didn't expect TY to have that second Raven, if he wasn't prepared for the number of tanks. Again, we've seen the scouting from both these players a little bit lackluster throughout this entire series. Remember game 1, they didn't scout each other's opposing bases at all. And Time, again, has not done a really good job of getting in there and guessing what and understanding what his opponent's out. And that's going to force him into a desperate maneuver, which is going to be this triple drop going up the north side, which TY looks like he is just hungry for. Ooh, actually, TY he's only got the one missile turret. He moved those Marines out south.
He does have one Marine moving right now, and it's going to intercept. This is just star sense. This is the difference between a good player and a world-class player. Knowing, okay, what am I weak to right now? A Kellevior style Doom drop. Okay, I'm going to have someone in position to see this so I can repair. That's exactly what he does. He sees it, he defends it, and now Time again back against the wall. We saw in the last game he managed to get his back out of the corner. You know, he fought back. In the end, he did get that knockdown uppercut, but he needs to make something happen. Time needs to find a little bit of damage. He does have an upgrade advantage right now. Not for long, though.
Definitely not for long. We see combat shields finishing up soon for TY, and, you know, TY is too smart of a player to move out without combat shields or something like that. I feel like in some of my games, I'll scout my opponent and be like, oh, I'm going to win this. This will be so easy. And then he destroys me, and I'll go back and watch the replay and be like, oh, right, he had combat shields, and I just didn't notice because I'm dumb and bad at the game. That's not something we're ever going to see here. But speaking of upgrades, remember how TY was a little behind on upgrades earlier in the game with his +1/+1 coming down a bit later? Look at how late his +2/+2 is. Time has been staying on those upgrades, getting them out right away, and now the timing window for Time is actually going to increase. But TY might actually just strike here while the upgrades are still even. Going to dislodge this 4th base right away.
Yeah, this is what TY needs to keep doing. He needs to keep his opponent on the back foot. He knows he picked up a lead in terms of just pure having more stuff. But he needs to make sure Time can't greed his way back into this game. So TY right now forcing the 4th to take off. It will now go down into that south position, the 6 o'clock. Meanwhile, the 4th of TY is going down on position here, in a position where he'd probably prefer it to be. And he's very safe. He has the double sensor towers covering almost the entire middle of the map. Does look like we might see a scrap in the middle of the map here, though, Creighton.
Yeah, I don't think either player really wants to take this. I don't think either player really wants to take this engagement. Just both players getting caught kind of in the middle of the map as they're transitioning here. We do see the anti-armor missile dipping down on about half of Time's army, but that will expire soon. Time going to go ahead and retreat. He actually would have had an upgrade advantage should that fight have taken place, but I think very wise to retreat there. Just wasn't quite ready for it. Those tanks from TY still zoning out that 4th base. And one thing you mentioned is the bases that these players want to take.
Oh, here we go again, Creighton. Sorry to interrupt. We do have a surround. All of these tanks will go down. This is good. This is what Time needed, because it was down a lot of tanks. Now he's only down 1. Continue.
No, that's fine. That was a really nice cleanup there from Time. Seeing that TY had left those units there, he spotted an opportunity to overwhelm him with army supply. But TY now moving on to the south side of the map, going to try a bit of a 2-pronged pressure, and he's moving into the space that Time didn't want to take because it's so hard to track and so hard to defend. Oh my gosh, this is exactly why TY moved him out of the base at the 9 o'clock position earlier, because pushing onto this base at the 6 o'clock is much easier than pushing into that narrow choke point at the 9 o'clock base.
And we can already see that Time has started his +3 behind this. His upgrades continue to lead. Both players max. Workers dead even. Army supply dead even. Upgrades favor the Chinese Terran player. Time, if he could just hold out, will have a massive advantage. +3 is huge in these bio versus bio wars. The ship weapons almost done as well. TY ship weapons almost done to level it out. It does look like it's going to be very, very close, but is there a window for time, Creighton?
Yeah, there absolutely is. He's not dead at all. He's going to try and pick and poke here. Ooh, eating some big siege tank shots, but that's not how you want to start your pressure, because TY has split up his army here. Time is going to clean up TY's army at the south side of the map, but this army at the 9 o'clock is also getting pushed away. TY is actually spreading his army a little bit too thin here, and Time is just right now defending, hoping that he can set himself up for a more advantageous push later. And look at this, TY had 3 attacks going on at one time, had that army at the 9 o'clock, had the army at the 6 o'clock, and now he's forced to go back home, lick his wounds, and try and catch up.
Yeah, TY's trying to be a little bit cute, keep his army spread very, very thin to try and keep Time spread thinner. All you have to do is win the fight in one location, you can do like game-ending damage. But Time splitting very well as well, and looking pretty good. Now the tank count is up there, Time has 11. Which is what is needed. His his +3 weapons very close. There is a timing here, certainly. Ship weapons dead even for +2. We also see Time moving into, what is the name of that upgrade? I cannot remember.
Corvid Reactor for the Ravens.
Corvid Reactor, yeah, for Ravens. You are correct. I'm so bad at remembering things.
It's
and Time actually finding a good fight, kills a lot of the Vikings here. The tank on siege, 1 will go down, 2 will go down, 3 will go down, Creighton.
This is great map awareness. This is a great map awareness from Time. Seeing that TY's tanks were unsieged, moving into the planetary. That planetary going to go down instantaneously, as well as one of the sensor towers. Time pushed way out here. The army supply is evened up. This is exactly what Time needed to do. Find a moment where TY was maybe not paying attention, maybe slightly off on his map awareness, and now that Time is evened up, is ahead on upgrades now, +3, +2, against 2-2. He's going to try and move in here, but breaking the siege tank line of TY is going to be very difficult for him.
Yeah, this was a very ballsy push. He does manage to take a pretty good trade, and he can afford to do so, but the Ravens came in behind this and hit those interference matrices onto the tanks. Now, Time is still fine. He has taken down a base. His +3 weapons is done. +3 armor is already 2/3 of the way done, but he doesn't have much air dominance. Marines will come forward. He just needs to pick off every Raven he can, and even soften them up is nice here. Behind this, Time's reinforcements are strong. He's producing. He is still pretty even on workers, 79 to 76. But Time's position throughout this game continues to grow, I think.
You know, this is one thing I love about TVT, is that the game constantly shifts. You've got to balance. You really have to read your opponent. At super high level TVT, you really have to read your opponent and see what the heck he's up to. If your opponent's going mass marine, you can't get too many Vikings on the map, because then you just get destroyed. If your opponent has too many Vikings, you can't have too many tanks, because then he'll be able to get on top of your Vikings and destroy your tanks with the vision radius that the Vikings provide. You're constantly adjusting, not just against what you're producing, but against what your opponent is producing as well, and it's a delicate balance that both these players are playing with their unit tab. Right now, tanks in favor of Time, Ravens in favor of TY. This is still anybody's game, Grant. Wide open.
Yeah, 4 Ravens. It's very nice to see us get into the later game where they're being produced on match. You can see both players are producing 2 Ravens at a time, and we may be looking at a big, long game if Time cannot break his opponent down soon. This is what Time wants to do right now. He really is looking to find a game-ending move, I believe. Behind this, his economy is, of course, still great. He has a great amount of workers. This is a good fight here for Time. He still has an upgrade advantage. 3-3 against 3-2.
You know, another amazing thing about mirror matchups, and especially about TVT, is that once you get up to 200 supply, unlike Zerg matchups, it doesn't really give you any advantage to build up an enormous bank, right? Like with Zerg players, they can get down to 0 and remax instantaneously. But the way that Terran players play, once you're at max supply, if you're not constantly throwing away units to get a little bit of advantage, your giant bank isn't going to do all that much for you. So it's more important to keep yourself at a reasonable bank so you can remax if you need to, and try to put pressure on in multiple little places here at once, and a huge armor strike missile. This is it, Grant.
And that's the upgrade one. It also goes Creighton at the other end of the map. Tanks going down here for TY. Time gets hit with that massive anti-armor cannon, but it still has so much. And he's finding another position. Workers will go down. This base will go down. Another base snipe right now for Time. And this is the time we wanted to show up, as his tanks now take position between the 3rd and the 4th base. And how does TY come back from this? I'm really not sure. He needs to get the tank count down. Right now it's 13 tanks to 5, Creighton Olsen.
And not only is it 13 tanks, it's 13 tanks in the middle of TY's bases. So it's not just 13 tanks on the other side of the map defending, it's 13 tanks that are causing his reinforcements to die, that are killing off SCVs, that are sieging up these planetary fortresses. He's going to lose 4 command centers here instantaneously. Time is ripping through TY's economy right now, and TY's going to try and counter push there in the middle of the map by putting counter pressure on Time. My God, those poor SCVs. Oh no.
Oh, that's filthy.
F's in the chat, please. But look at this. TY pushing down onto Time's bases as well. Down in the bottom side of the map, 33 SCVs have gone down, but TY is going to get some counter pressure as well. He's in a really rough spot though. 38 workers to 73. If Time can continue to defend here and take out TY's army, I think this game's over.
Yeah, and Time now is moving in. He's going to try and get on top of some of the production. There's so many units. If you can catch the reinforcements, this would be great. It's not going to happen. Right now, it looks like Time is just going to lose that one planetary. He is trying to repair it to keep it alive, but eventually it will be shelled down. He has dropped a few units onto the production tab. We see barracks going down now for TY, and TY needs everything. Army supply is still even, but he's not going to be able to reproduce like Time does. Time already is getting plating for his vehicles as well to make those tanks that he has so many of even stronger. He's on top of the production. That means no more reinforcements, more tanks coming in, more SCVs will go down. We've seen a total right now, Clayton, of 65 dead workers, and Time is looking for his win. Interference matrices onto some of these tanks. He's got plenty at home to defend. He doesn't have a care in the world right now. I think right now Time has done it.
You know, it's going to be a really close one here. I never count TY out when the army supplies are even. His production is getting all ravaged here. But if he can pick out any of these units back here for Time, he's going to have a good shot here. Time diving in some tanks from TY here. TY actually way ahead on army supply right now, but Time is going to be able to reinforce, and TY will not. So every unit that TY loses is pretty much gone for good, whereas Time's going to be able to reinforce. TY has got to push aggressively. He's got to take more risk than he's currently taking to try and break the back of Time right now, because Time on 65 workers, behind on army supply, but still making 12 Marines and 2 Ravens at a time.
And I hate to say it, but all Time needs is time. If he gets his army supply back up, he's still mining. Look at the income graph right now, Creighton Olsen, as he pulls it up because I'm psychic. You can see Time is mining a huge, more than 2 times the amount. TY is not mining gas anymore. All he can produce is a few Marines at a time. Time is still producing, this is so confusing, 2 Ravens at a time, Vikings, Medevacs, 10 Marines, everything he needs, and now he's looking to push back his opponent. Prime gets on top of the tanks, there's nothing left. Okay, a couple of missile turrets will eventually push him back. This base is a planetary and will live for a while.
Yeah.
There's so many Ravens,
but
the supply is all workers though.
It's fine. TY's already being revealed here, and honestly, it doesn't matter. But look at this. Time can take these inefficient fights because he can remax here. Decent armor sharding missiles going down, but the tank position from Time is too much, and TY's going to try and push into this. He's got Vikings, he's got the medevacs, but as long as these tanks stand for Time, he's going to be able to hold this high ground position. There's no way TY can break it. He knows it.
Wow. Wow.
And that's all we can say is, wow, what a series. Oh, no, hang on, Grant. I've got you not on camera. There we go. Sorry. Oh, my gosh. So much production going on. You're back. All right. What a game there from Time and TY. You know, the end game there was absolutely fascinating. We saw Time clawing back from a position of weakness, but he did everything you need to do when you're in a rough position in a StarCraft game. You've got to defend, you got to choose, right? You're either going to pressure your opponent and try and end the game, or you're going to stay back, build up resources, and try and beat him later. And that's exactly what we saw. Those upgrades kicking in at just the right moments, and the pushes being really, really effective from Time there. So really, really solid play by our Chinese Terran player. And Grant, we're going to get our wish. Game 3, Pillars of Gold, LE. You know, one thing we didn't talk about on Ice and Chrome much, that's my favorite part of Ice and Chrome, is the topography of that map is fascinating. There are dips and doodles, there are ups and downs, there are ramps, there are cliffs. There's never a dull place. It's not like, I always think of like the very old days, if you think of like Shakura's Plateau or whatever, where it's just like a giant flat map for as far as the eye can see. I live in Kansas, and that map always reminds me of just like a super flat map all the way across. But Ice and Chrome and our next map, Pillars of Gold, are both maps with really interesting topography, a lot of ups and downs, and that really rewards a player like Time, who sieges up on the high ground instead of sieging up on the low ground, who leaves an army on top of a ramp instead of underneath a ramp, and just gives you that couple extra seconds of vision that you really need to take out a player that's trying to fight you. So I expect Pillars of Gold to be another fascinating match. I expect Bio versus Bio, but with either of these players, Mech wouldn't surprise me.
I wouldn't be surprised on this map if we see something a little bit more aggressive. The map is small. It's quite difficult to hold a third, and it's very, very droppable here on Pillars of Gold. I'd like to see one of these players just go, bugger it, I'm all in. But Clayton Olsen, you're not in Kansas anymore. As we move in to Pillars of Gold, ladder edition for Game 3 of Time versus TY. God, I couldn't be more excited.
The sad part is, Grant, that I'm still in Kansas. I am still in Kansas. The joke almost worked, and I'll get my ruby slippers and click them together at some point.
Thank you.
Anyway, Grant, make sure we run some ads here before the next game starts. Yep. We do need to hit our quota and support our sponsors for DreamHack. But we're going to get in here to the next map. TY and Time tied up at 1-1. Oh my God, this is exactly how I wanted to start my day, Grant.
Me too, Creighton. Now, are we ready? Do you have the players? Do you have the capacity?
I think I do. Spawning.
Okay, because in the bottom left, he is the red Terran player from China. He just played one of the greatest TVTs I've seen in a long time. Played for Kaizi Gaming. It's time.
And his opponent in the top right-hand side in the blue, repping the Africa Freaks. It is our South Korean caster, commentator, and sometimes player. His name is Taeyoung. It's TY.
Ooh, I love the Taeyoung.
Right? Oh, it's
Okay,
so good. My favorite Korean matchup, by the way, is TY versus Solar, because Taeyeon is another name for sun in Korean, and Solar is the English word for sun-related things. So when TY and Solar play each other, it's the sun versus sun matchup, just in 2 different languages. It's solid.
I love it. That's sick.
Oh yeah, Korean names are fascinating, man. I love it.
I don't really know many. Like I'm pretty sure I know the one Lee Jae-dong. You may have heard of him.
I may have heard of him.
He's a guy. Now, we are moving into a pretty standard opening here on Pillars of Gold. Now, as I said, this map is quite small. It is quite quick to get across. Once you have 3 bases, it can be quite hard to take a 4th. You can move between, if you're dropping a lot as well, you can move between the natural, the third, and the main very easily with medevacs, or things like Ravens for harassment. And it can be a little bit difficult. We are seeing things very normal so far, but I would not be surprised to see a big push out of one of these players. And I truly hope we don't. I'd love to see it go long, because this series so far has done nothing but deliver. Game 1, Time looked maybe a second behind his opponent. Game 2, he looked 2 seconds ahead. And I just cannot wait.
You know, it's interesting that we've seen a big change already in play from Time. He sent an SCV scout across the map. That's something we didn't see in either of the previous games. Time was playing the last 2 games almost completely blind. I don't think he sent a single scan. Or I don't think he scanned the main base a single time. I don't think he sent a single SCV across to see where his opponent was up. Time just said, I'm going to play my game on my terms. Almost like a Zerg player, you know? Bring me the game, and I'll respond to it. But getting that scout out is actually pretty cool. We see the natural going down for TY. Down on the low ground, no natural for Time just yet, but it looks like he's dropping that SCV down. He's just going to the factory before the expand, and quick starport out of TY.
Yeah, TY getting his 1-1-1 that little bit quicker here. Could be interesting. We can see as well he's starting to produce Hellions a little faster. He is a little worried, I think, about some aggression coming out right now from Time. He could also move across the map with his first couple of Hellions. He's making a Widow Mine. How concerned right now is TY is what I'm wondering. Because his add-ons are late, which means we're not going to have a very quick Raven or quick upgrades either way. You can see there's only 1 add-on currently. And if we look at Times, he should have 2, I believe, hopefully. Let's take a look. Yeah, so Time has that second add-on finished already. And right now, I like Time's position. He's been able to be just a little bit greedier with his tech. He has a little supply block, but that will get broken very shortly. Just a little teeny one. He's making a tank very early as well. Wow, both of these players are not taking risks in this game, Creighton Olsen.
And why would they? It's game 3 here. These are GSL-style groups, of course, which means we're going to see 2 initial matches. This one will be followed by Parting versus Big Gabe. And then it's a winner's match, a loser's match, a deciding match. And let me tell you, going into that loser's match not only means that you're fighting for your life in one game, or one series, it means, Grant, that you have to play 2 series in a row. And that is never, ever what you want to be forced to do as a player. Playing those 2 series in a row, especially when there's so much on the line, is really frustrating. We are going to see a bit of a move out, though, from Time.
Oh my god, and not only that, TY has a medevac full. He has a couple of Reapers in it, he has some Marines, and he has a Widow Mine, and this could do so much damage. The Widow Mine toppled with the Marine and a few Reapers can absolutely decimate this mineral line here of Time. Widow Mine comes in, it's going to get the burrow. Okay, it does manage to burrow, but it's not going to get any kills here. It's forced a very large pull, actually. Meanwhile, what does Time have at home?
Hold up. Oh man, Time moved his SCVs back very closely. That Widow Mine could have gotten a huge shot off, but TY not controlling it very well because he's so worried about what Time's doing on the other side of the map right now. Time trying to push forward here, but the siege tank is going to be able to do some big shots off. But there's nothing here from TY to respond to it. All his units are in that medevac steaming back home right now, Grant.
And we're going to see a couple of add-ons go down. The Liberator coming in. This Liberator wanted to be used for aggression. It's very early to have a Liberator. Nice pickup right now. Time is really going for this. He's going to get a few workers. This is what Time needs. If you can find a little bit more damage here. Oh my god, there's going to be so many workers going down. Right now there's next to nothing. It looks like Time is finally going to get out of dodge. I thought maybe he could have stayed a second or 2 longer and got just 3 or 4 more workers. Instead he's going to go for some fancy Euthermal Reaper micro here and try and pick off some this way. Finally he is cleaned up. Worker count pretty much even. Time with a slight lead. Army supply even. Tech though favors Time. He has the Raven, and his opponent only has a Liberator. Tank count favoring right now TY. We're in an okay position, but I do like what Time's got so far.
Yeah, absolutely. That was a bit of back and forth, certainly. Both players getting drawing blood, but nobody bleeding too much yet. I agree with you, though. Time, by the way, TY losing that extra tech lab on his starport is going to slow him down quite a bit. In fact, he's had to swap over his starport onto the tech lab to get that Raven out more quickly, which means he is going to be behind on the tank count if Time, yeah, he's going to be behind on the tank count if Time continues to produce tanks. Never mind. TY starting his tank before Time is, so Time just prioritizing the third command center instead. TY not looking for an upgrade yet. He's trying to do a little bit more shenanigans in the main base here, but the tank from Time should be able to clean this up, and he gets the medevac as well.
Okay, as they come into the range of the second tank, they should be completely fine here. The tank will not go down. It will take a little bit of friendly fire here. 4 workers go down for Time, though. That's a very good amount of worker damage. Is there a Liberator or something? Yeah, there was a Liberator just to the south of the main and natural. That has now gone down, which is what that scan was for. The Cyclone managing to get the lock on. But this was nice for TY because now he has a 6 worker lead, and he's continuing to push that. But the third CC is going to be behind here. It's not even started, actually, here for TY. And what that means right now is, once again, Time just needs time because he's going to be stronger in the coming minutes. But right now, he is not.
Well, that's my big question for you, Grant. We see no third base for TY at all. And, of course, that means he's not only behind on economy, but he's going to be further behind on economy later in the game because Time's going to start building SCVs before he is. But, of course, TY is going to... TY is going to be forced to invest in that later when he wants to be investing in army supply. Time's moving across the map to try and snap this game off while he's ahead. TY, of course, can't afford to put anything down. He's building more barracks. He's building more supply depots. Oh, no. Is TY in a bit of trouble here? This push from Time looks really scary, Grant.
The scan ahead puts out where the army isn't, and now the army coming in. It looks like Time could be a little bit more aggressive here. Raven count is 1 apiece. Tank count is equal in this position as well, I believe. Yep, there are 3 tanks, but the Raven, the Vikings right now tell all of the story. We are going to see, I imagine, an interference matrix come down pretty soon. He could drop a turret even in between those 2 tanks.
Yeah, he's just
possibly get some damage there.
I think he's just going to threaten right now. Man, I will hand it to TY, though. If you're going to, I mean, if I was a mathematician, I couldn't draw a better concave for these tanks to set up in, but here we go. Interference matrix sees on 2 of the tanks. Liberator going to siege up to try and drive them out as well because they can't unsiege right now. Liberator going to take out all these tanks here, and the tanks from Time re-sieging. Grant, I think he might have this.
Yeah, Time put himself in a great position as well. These turrets, the auto turrets here from TY, was a lot of energy used that now cannot be used for interference matrices. Another tank going down right now. Time pushing in. Army supply is very, very close. The Marines, though, are a little bit out of position. The tank's out of position right now. FPV's coming off the line. There's so many tanks here. Time pushes in. Time looking for blood. Time looking for the kill. He's in the natural, Creighton. How do you break this position now as TY? He's in so much trouble.
He really is. He's trying to drop back in the natural here. He's got a big double drop. That's where all his army supply was. Back in Time's main base.